Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translator Association.
If you have a news topic or event you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Today's show runs Tuesday at noon, 3 and 6 p.m. and again is re-aired later throughout the weekend with the other weekday broadcast replays. Today is May 29th, 2018. And now the news at noon.
According to the Cortez Journal, a man died after exchanging gunfire with Bureau of Land Management law enforcement officers in western Colorado. Mesa County officials say two BLM rangers were checking on a white van parked on BLM property on the Book Cliffs area north of Grand Junction on Sunday afternoon when the man fired at officers, hitting one in his protective vest. The officer was taken to the hospital as a precaution. One officer returned fire, killing the suspect. Mesa County officials say they'll release his name after his family is notified. The names of the officers involved haven't been released. The shooting is being investigated by the 21st Judicial District Critical Incident Response Team.
From the Daily Sentinel in Grand Junction, Governor John Hickenlooper plans to sign several measures soon, but none more significant than a measure to boost funding for transportation. On Thursday, the governor will travel to Loveland to sign SB 1. The measure was introduced by Republicans in the GOP-led Colorado Senate as a massive bonding bill. As it was, however, it had little chance of passing the Democratic-controlled House because, according to the governor, it called on the state to dedicate too much money to paying off the bonds, which would have cost about $5 billion, risking cutting into other needed programs such as education. But after some last-minute negotiations on both sides of the political aisle, the bill was changed. It now calls for putting millions of dollars into roads and multimodal transportation projects over the next 20 years, including issuing some bonds. Under the measure, the legislature would appropriate $495 million in additional transportation money in a one-time payment and promise to allocate another $150 million next year. Additionally, it calls for placing a measure on the 2019 ballot to ask voters for permission to issue nearly $2.4 billion in bonds with a $3.5 billion debt service over 20 years. That measure, however, may not be placed on the 2019 ballot if voters approve one of two proposed citizens' initiatives being considered for this year's ballot. Currently, there are two proposed ballot measures dealing with transportation. One, which is being pushed by business groups led by the Denver Area Chamber of Commerce, calls for increasing the state's sales tax by 0.62% to 3.4%, which would raise about $768 million a year. The other calls for using existing state resources to issue $3.5 billion in bonds with a $5 billion payback. It is being pushed by John Caldara's Independence Institute, a right-leaning think tank. Senate President Kevin Grantham, Republican from Canyon City, agreed that with the governor and House Speaker Crisanta Duran, Democrat of Denver, in saying that the second proposal could require the legislature to make deep cuts into other programs if the economy goes sour. Caldara calls his campaign Fix Our Damn Roads, a play on the Chamber's campaign, which is called Fix Colorado Roads. The governor is signing the bill at a place called the Dam Store, which is near a dam on the Big Thompson River. The governor's office said that's a coincidence.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, one of 5 people accused in the deaths of 2 young girls on a Norwood area farm has agreed to plead guilty to an accessory charge which would avoid a child abuse conviction and could allow him to be free within a year. Farm owner Frederick Alec Blair owned the farm where Michaela Roberts, age 10, and Hannah Marshall, age 8, died, according to the Daily Sentinel of Grand Junction. The girls were kept in a car without food or water for weeks before their bodies were found. Madani Seus faces murder charges along with Nashika Bramble, the girl's mother. 2 other adults, Ika Eden and Ashford Archer, face charges of fatal child abuse. The Daily Sentinel reported that prosecutors offered to drop the child abuse counts in exchange for Blair's guilty plea on the accessory charge. According to an affidavit, Blair told San Miguel County Sheriff's investigators that he met a group of 9 people, including 4 children, at a gas station outside Grand Junction in May 2017, and invited them to use the land. He soon joined the group members living there in tents and cars. Blair said Seus, a 37-year-old Haitian, told the others to call her Ama or Yahweh. and ordered that the girls stay in a car without food or water because they were unclean. Sayus told police that she had provided food for the group, but later told Bramble she couldn't keep doing it. According to the affidavit, Blair told his father about the girl's death on September 8th. Blair's father, who was visiting Colorado from Texas, called the sheriff's office, and deputies found the girls' mummified bodies inside a gray car. Blair later told police that he believed the girls died in June. Blair's sentencing is scheduled for September 27th.
From the Durango Herald file photo, Silverton's 8th town manager in 11 years was placed on administrative leave last week, but town officials have been mum about the reason. Town manager Louis Feinberg has been in the position since November 1st. Town attorney Jeff Robbins said Friday that Feinberg was placed on administrative leave Tuesday. He declined to explain further. The matter is being looked into as promptly as we can, Robbins said. That's really the extent I can go into discussing it. Robbins said Feinberg's duties will be spread out amongst town staff. Silverton's town manager position has been a tumultuous one in the past decade. In 2014, for instance, then town manager Brian Carlson and then public works director Gilbert Archuleta entered a feud that ultimately led to the town board ordering a niceness contract between the two. Archuleta supposedly violated the niceness contract when he spoke ill of Carlson at a Silverton bar in the early morning hours. Both men were eventually fired because of the ordeal. In February 2017, then town manager Bill Gardner resigned after 2 years on the job. The reason why remains unclear. The town board called for an executive session to talk about Bill and his job, one council member said. Silverton is a very difficult place to work as a town administrator, and the track record is clearly there. Gardner said at the time, but I hope that they come together and recognize that it's a flaw in the governance there, and then start to look at how you address that in an unemotional way. Gardner served as La Plata County Sheriff in the 1980s. Town clerk and treasurer Michelle Hamilton served as the interim town manager until Feinberg was hired last fall. The Silverton Town Board voted unanimously to hire Feinberg in October after an 8-month search for a new town manager, according to previous reports in the Silverton Standard and the Miner. Efforts to reach Feinberg were unsuccessful. Feinberg came to Silverton after serving as planning director for Taos, New Mexico, and the city of Trinidad. His salary was set at $75,000. In a previous interview in April with the Durango Herald, Feinberg said the town was taking great strides to instill a sense of normalcy and stability in town government. We are very conscious of not returning to where we were, Feinberg said at the time. People have been behaving, and we want to make sure that stays dynamic.
Reported by the Cortez Journal with a photo courtesy of La Plata County. A pre-evacuation order for homes along Florida Road, County Road 240 between Helen's Store and County Road 502 in Durango has been lifted after progress overnight on the 358 fire. Evacuated residents on the west side of County Road 501 between County Road 502 and Florida Road can return home. However, only residents and homeowners will be allowed in the fire area because firefighting activity will be conducted throughout the day. The 358 fire began Friday afternoon in the Texas Creek area. The fire remains at 51 acres and is 80% contained. Because of severe drought conditions and the complexity of the fire, a Type 3 interagency incident manager team is managing the 358 fire. It was reported around 3:45 p.m. Friday on private property near the east entrance of Sunrise Lane and County Road 245, northeast of Durango. It was reported by someone shooting a gun recreationally at a private gun range. The shooter was not using any special ammunition considered fire-prone. At a Sunday morning briefing, Incident Commander Richard Gustafson decided to lift the pre-evacuation orders based on successful efforts to battle the blaze overnight. Sunday's operations were to seek and destroy, said Operations Chief Officer Joe Morris in a news release from La Plata County. On Sunday, firefighters continued to work to increase the containment line and create a barrier, lessening the risk of the fire escaping. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Here's the national weather map from NOAA. Starting in the west, a low-pressure system is moving inland, with some thunderstorms possible in the higher mountain regions in central California and across Idaho. It'll be dry for the most part in the rest of the west as a high-pressure system remains in place, especially in the southwest, keeping that area hot and windy. Though Texas is mostly out of the target for rains today, the rest of the country overall is seeing chances of thunderstorms, severe storms marked in yellow, and the potential for flash flooding where you see the red hashing. As AccuWeather reports, the danger for flooding will expand across the southeastern United States as subtropical depression Alberto moves inland through Tuesday. After Alberto made landfall along the Florida Panhandle, it is expected to continue to track northward across Alabama and into central Kentucky and into Tuesday night. Regionally, there is a hazardous weather outlook issued. Scattered to numerous thunderstorms are possible across the mountains of eastern Utah and western Colorado, beginning late this morning and continuing into the evening. Thunderstorms will generate strong winds with little to no rain. The chance for thunderstorms will linger Wednesday, and the main threat being gusty winds and lightning with little rain. Critical fire weather conditions could develop Thursday with a lesser chance of Friday due to gusty southwesterly winds, low relative humidities, warmer temperatures, and dry vegetation. The local DCTV 5-day outlook shows today sunny with a high near 76, north winds 5 to 10 miles an hour becoming west-northwest in the afternoon. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 47, west-northwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour becoming east-southeast in the evening. Then Wednesday mostly sunny with a high near 81, light and variable wind becoming south-southwest 10 to 15 miles an hour in the morning. Wednesday night partly cloudy with a low around 48, south-southwest winds 5 to 15 miles an hour becoming southeast in the evening. And then Thursday will be a gusty windy day, so much so that it knocked the graphic off the forecast. Sunny with a high near 82, breezy with a south-southwest wind 10 to 15 miles an hour, increasing to 20 to 25 miles an hour in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 35 miles an hour. Thursday night mostly clear with a low around 47 degrees and still breezy. Friday sunny with a high near 78. Friday night clear with a low around 45. Saturday sunny with a high near 83. Saturday night mostly clear with a low around 49. And Sunday sunny with a high near 86. Sunday night mostly clear with a low around 49. And now back to the news.
Reported by the Durango Herald, the unwanted were turned away from cafeterias, tables. Fistfights broke out at karaoke. Dances became breeding grounds for gossip and cruelty. It became clear this place had a bullying problem on its hands. What many found surprising was that the perpetrators and victims alike were all senior citizens. Nursing homes, senior centers, and housing complexes for the elderly have introduced programs, training, and policies aimed at curbing spates of bullying, an issue once thought the exclusive domain of the young. After the cafeteria exiles and karaoke brouhahas, the 30th Street Center teamed up with the local nonprofit, the Institute on Aging, to develop an anti-bullying program. All staff members received 18 hours of training that included lessons on what constitutes bullying, causes of the problem, and how to manage such conflicts. Seniors were then invited to similar classes held in English and Spanish, teaching them to alert staff or intervene themselves if they witness bullying, signs, and even place mats around the centers now declare it a bully-free zone. Robin Boniface, a social worker professor at Arizona State University and author of the book Bullying Among Older Adults, How to Recognize and Address the Unseen Epidemic, said existing studies suggest about 1 in 5 seniors encounters bullying. She sees it as an outgrowth of frustrations characteristic in communal settings, as well as a reflection of issues unique to getting older. Many elderly see their independence and sense of control disappear, and for some, becoming a bully can feel like regaining some of that lost power.
From the Journal, photo credit Jerry McBride. Drought conditions are affecting many aspects of human life in southwest Colorado, but they're also impacting wildlife across the region. Colorado Parks and Wildlife spokesman Joe Lewandowski said some animals, such as birds, do not need to drink much water because they metabolize water from the food they eat. But drought conditions decrease the moisture in vegetation, which is detrimental to animals' hydration. This can be problematic for lactating females, for instance, because they need extra water to produce milk. For this reason, Parks and Wildlife hopes monsoons this summer will bring moisture to the vegetation, creating a larger inventory of food for animals. The warm spring, which has so far stayed clear of a major freeze, has been beneficial for bears, Lewandowski said. Last year, there was a late freeze that affected bears' natural food supply. Bears then came into town to forage in humans' trash. This year, foods such as plants and berries are growing and available for the bears to eat. Dry years also affect fish habitats. Low river and creek water levels mean fewer places places for fish to go. Fish eat bugs, and the more water there is, the more bugs there are. When water is warmer, there is less oxygen available in the water as well. At the Durango Fish Hatchery, Parks and Wildlife is releasing fish into the wild earlier than normal because there is less water available for the hatchery to use. Species have adapted to different climates for thousands of years, so there's no threat of a mass extinction. Lewandowski said, however, biologists are worried that long-term drought will have harmful effects on wildlife. Since April, southwest Colorado, as well as the entire Four Corners, has been listed in an exceptional drought, the most intense drought category, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor.
Reported by the Durango Herald with a photo by Lily Paquette with the MIT School of Engineering via AP. Scientists have developed a swallowed capsule packed with tiny electronics and millions of genetically engineered living cells that might someday be used to spot health problems from inside the gut. The capsule was tested in pigs and correctly detected signs of bleeding, researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology reported Thursday in the journal Science. At more than an inch long, it will have to be made smaller for testing in people. But the results suggest the capsule could eventually be used in people to find signs of ulcers, inflammatory bowel disease, or even a colorectal cancer, the researchers said. It's the latest advance in a growing field of sensors that can be swallowed or worn to monitor our health. Pills equipped with cameras, thermometers, and acidity gauges already look for diseases and track digestion. Last year, a psychiatric medication that alerts doctors when it's taken won U.S. approval. Stick-on skin monitors for recovering stroke patients are in the works. The MIT device is the first to use engineered cells as sensors in swallowed capsules, said Kourosh Kalantarzadeh, who is developing a gas-sensing all-electronic pill at the Rural Melbourne Institute of Technology in Australia. The researchers tested the capsules using a harmless strain of E. coli bacteria. These cells were modified with DNA from other bacteria to make them detect blood and then light up. Electronics that then take over, relaying signals to a smartphone. Shrinking the capsule to a normal pill size could be achieved by combining its 3 electronic chips, said co-author Philip Nadeau. Data encryption will be needed to protect patient privacy, and it's meant to be used once, so they'll need to make it flushable, co-author Mark Mimmy said. All that, plus human testing, means a commercial product is years off.
From the Journal, photo credit Emily Rice. There's a silver and blue lining to a massive pine beetle outbreak in the San Juan National Forest in southwest Colorado. The round-headed and mountain pine beetles have wiped out more than 10,000 acres of ponderosa pine forest in the past few years in the Lake and Cow Canyons area east of the Dolores River. They are continuing their destructive path, encouraged by trees weakened from drought and by overcrowding in a forest in need of thinning. The stand of dead and dying trees are not good for conventional lumber because of their weakened structure. However, a secondary decorative and mining use for the trees has emerged because of a symbiotic relationship between the beetles and the fungus that comes with a beetle invasion. The beetles carry a fungus that feeds their young and infects the trees, creating distinctive coloration in the wood. So-called blue stain ponderosa features blue-gray streaking, with occasional highlights of yellow, purple, and red, all caused by the fungus. Aspen Wallwood on Colorado Highway 184 south of Dolores is known for its aspen paneling, but last year owner David Sitton decided to expand operations and take advantage of the blue stain ponderosa available in the forest. We kept getting interest, so we began logging and milling the blue stain. Our first batch immediately sold, and the market has really picked up, he said. We are taking what was thought to be waste timber and turning it into a really nice product. He expects to bring in 400 semi-trailers of beetle kill ponderosa to mill into blue stain paneling. Buyers use it for ceilings, floors, and walls to get a rustic, softly colored look for lodges and cabins. The bright side to the beetle outbreak is that it impacted mature trees, allowing the fungus to penetrate deep into the grain of the wood. We've been credited with the bluest blue stain pine on the market, Sitton said. Ours is about 70% blue, when the rest of the market is typically 30 to 40% blue. There is a 2 to 5 year window to log blue stain pine for milling into decorative paneling, he said. After that, the wood becomes dry and prone to splitting. West Fork Lumber Company is mill west of Dolores and also is taking advantage of the blue stain ponderosa, said manager Clay Tilia. The drier wood is ideal for making mineshaft cribbing used in the coal industry. The lumber is stacked to fill voids after the coal is removed, preventing tunnel cave-ins. The miners love it because it does not shrink, so they don't have to go back and add wedges as often, Tilia said. Because the wood is dry and light, more of it can be shipped per truckload. The locally produced rough-cut cribbing is used in coal mines near Schofield, Utah. Tilia estimates that 1.5 million board feet will be milled for mine cribbing this year from the blue stain ponderosa in this area. They also mill the blue stain into fence stays, sold at Basin Co-op at 16032 U.S. Highway 491, and into smaller pieces sold to build chicken houses. In his spare time, Tilia also uses the blue stain pine to make doors and furniture. It's a side hobby. I've made barn doors, dressers, a coffee bar, and a headboard that slides open into a gun rack, he said. You can see some of the wood at the newly renovated Post 5181 VFW upstairs, as well as in the back of the Main Street hardware shop in Dove Creek, newly reopened and under renovations.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of May 21st through the 27th. Ambulance responded to an injured subject who got bucked off a horse off of Bug Point Road. A county resident reported a strong smell of propane at a county residence. An officer investigated and was unable to locate it. Received a complaint of a neighbor playing music too loud. An officer responded and asked that the noise be turned down. Report of a black cow with a white face in Cajon. Cow was headed north from the substation. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings in Rico every Tuesday starting today, May 29th, except for the weeks of their monthly RTA board meetings. Rico Trails Alliance and friends will meet up for an after-work ride on the trails near town. All are welcome. Meet at 6 p.m. at the Enterprise. It's a 1-hour ride followed by Recovery Tacos. June 1st from 8:30 to 12 noon in Cortez. Field Noxious Weed ID. There's no charge for this seminar attendance. It is highly recommended to bring good walking, hiking shoes as well as water and a snack. Well-behaved kids are welcome to join as well with their parent. Early education is supported. Please call the Montezuma County Noxious Weed Program for reservations or questions at 970-565-0580. And of course, this weekend is the 15th annual Dolores River Festival, June 2nd. Jam on the River at Joe Rowell Park, presented by Greater Dolores Action. Music, rafting, food, drinks, camping, a dog-friendly event. It's $20 per tickets in advance or $25 at the gate. 12 and under are free. For all of the details, go online to doloresriverfestival.org. And all of the happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, whether the original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us by email. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 970-677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Thursday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. on each of those days. The weekday news shows are then replayed throughout the weekend as well.
And be sure to check us out on social media. Our Facebook page is DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.